guys, and welcome to another trip report. I am in a really crazy Jeddah International Airport. It's just gone 2 AM and I'm midway through a very long layover here before heading off to Jakarta on a 777-300 in business class. I had a really good experience with Saudia coming down from Rome earlier on today on their mid-haul Airbus A320. That was a previous video on this channel. I can't get a moment's peace here. But anyway, I'm going to shut up now and let's get on with the trip report. What a crazy airport. So I arrived earlier in the evening from Rome and my schedule gave me a layover of around 7 hours in Jeddah. If you're flying economy, Saudia have a strange transit room where you can rest, but be aware it's actually a room hundreds of people walk through every hour. I'm on my way to the lounge, which is straight after the duty-free shops. Saudia's Alfursan lounge is a dual business and first class lounge and is nowhere near the standard you'd expect on most international airlines. The lounge is basically one big room with seats and tables and some questionably garish lighting choices. The food, however, is much better, with a huge spread. Too much to show you all of it in this video, but you get the idea. There's also some lovely Arabic coffee available. There are plenty of cold options too, and some sweet things for dessert. As you'll know from my previous video, Saudia are a dry airline, so although there's beer in the fridge, it's non-alcoholic. There are also male and female Islamic prayer rooms off to the left, just here. And I decided to check out the shower. Yes, there is only one, and it's through the door to the toilets. You can see that to the left, just here. Now, I appreciate any shower I can get in an airport, but let's be honest, this is a pretty depressing shower suite. The toiletries in the shower, though, are the same ones that British Airways use in their Heathrow facilities. Jeddah Airport's international terminal is just this one big hall, which is insane. It's very small and be warned, there are no proper restaurants. There are a couple of Western outlets like this Baskin Robbins and a Tim Hortons. The best thing to do if you can't get into the lounge is plug in some earphones and watch the planes. Today's flight leaves at the uncivilised time of 4:10 AM and we start boarding about an hour before that. Jeddah offers a very poor transit experience and every gate requires bus boarding, but a new terminal is in the process of being opened and is gradually accepting more flights and should be fully operational by the end of the year. And here's our 777 for today's flight. Don't forget you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram account is where I live blog all my trips on the stories function and is a great place to see what trips I'm doing so you can look forward to the videos. This flight is the 5th of 25 in my epic round-the-world adventure. So this is business class on the 777-300. It's worth saying this is an older regional cabin used on lower revenue routes like the Jakarta run we're doing today. The seats are not particularly impressive, but they'll certainly do, and although they don't lie completely horizontal, they go flat at an angle of about 160 degrees. Legroom is excellent, although I wish they had an ottoman to rest my feet, like many other business class seats do. There's good storage, and a big plus, air vents. It's amazing how many business class cabins don't have these. Saudia also have a 1-2-1 business class layout, which is on some 777 aircraft and all their 787s, so be mindful this isn't Saudia's best product you're seeing. This is the moment boarding is complete, and remarkably, I'm the only passenger in this 30-seat cabin. It's the middle of Ramadan, and I think that must have affected the numbers of people travelling. Has that ever happened to you before? Hot towels are handed out, and a welcome drink follows soon after. There will be no excuse for slow service today. Cheers. Soon we're leaving the black heat of the Saudi Arabian desert behind and heading straight for Indonesia. Here's our route today. It'll take us 9 hours and we'll cover 4,950 miles at an altitude of 40,000 feet. So the seats are an older variety, but the controls are intuitive and everything worked fine. The tray table is easy to deploy and stows away on the centre console of the seat. There's also a power outlet in the seats, and there are adapters for headphones, as well as a USB socket too. One thing I didn't get footage of was the divider, which extends between the seats for privacy. Not that that's something I'll be lacking today. Dawn breaks very soon after takeoff and menus are handed out. There's a good balance between Eastern and Western dishes, and there will be 2 meals served on this flight. Although it's Ramadan, you can certainly eat on board and it isn't rude to do so, even if the crew and other passengers may be fasting. One thing I really did like was the fact Saudia offer a dine-on-demand service, which is not something many airlines offer. The amenity kit is similar to the one I was given on my connecting flight by Porsche Design and features everything you'd expect to find in a business class kit. The headphones were noise cancelling. Not the best headphones money can buy by a long shot, but they'll do. The service by the crew was professional and attentive, and I'm soon served breakfast. Breakfast was very good and I was quite impressed. As well as a selection of bread and pastries, there was a small bowl of fresh fruit. And my main was beef tapa, which I'd ordered because I'd never heard of it before and was curious. Turns out it's a Filipino dish and was delicious. Arabic coffee was also served, which topped off my breakfast nicely. It's time for me to grab some sleep. I didn't get any during the layover, and you can see how close the seat goes to horizontal here. I changed into my pyjamas in the toilet, which was nothing special. However, it was clean and contained some nice toiletries. A lot of people make a big fuss about how bad angled flat seats are, but truth be told, this was my first time in one and I got a great sleep. I slept for about 4 hours and woke up shortly after we'd left the coast of India. Saudia are, I think, unique in having a prayer room on board. It contains a small screen, as you can see here, which shows the direction of Mecca. My lunch arrived about 2 hours before landing, in an attempt to adjust myself to Jakarta time. There was bread, salad, and a pleasant seafood starter. A Moroccan soup arrived as a second course before my main. My main was a baked salmon. This wasn't great to look at and was a bit oily, but it tasted very good and wasn't dry at all, a common fault with seafood on aircraft. I ordered ice cream for dessert, which all airlines should serve as it's almost impossible to get wrong. The entertainment system was quite good and worked via a remote or touch screen. There was an extensive selection of things to watch, although I did laugh when I saw there was an entire programme dedicated to mistakes made by England football players. Perhaps the guy in charge of entertainment is Scottish, who knows. An unexpected surprise was a pre-landing cake, which was every bit as delicious and moist as my cake on the Rome to Jeddah flight. This flight took place almost entirely during daylight, which means Muslim passengers would be fasting. Everyone therefore gets a little packed lunch to take away with them to eat after sunset. A nice touch, and they also included a card of the Saudi Arabian football team's captain. This journey was just before the World Cup. After 9 hours of flight, we're in Indonesian airspace and make our final approach into a humid Jakarta, where the local time is approaching 7 p.m. So that's my Saudia experience done and dusted. They're not the world's best airline by a long shot, but I did get the Rome to Jakarta fare for about £400 one way, which represents outstanding value. Saudia do a lot of things well, especially their food, and while it's difficult to judge the service because I was the only passenger, I think once these flights are handled by the new terminal, Saudia will be well worth looking at for connections into the Far East. And that's it for another trip report. I'm overnighting here at Jakarta Airport as I'm taking an early flight tomorrow to Denpasar in Bali with CityLink of Indonesia. I really hope you enjoyed coming with me on this trip. As for myself, this dispelled some of the preconceptions that I had about Saudi culture and Saudi Arabian Airlines. Not an airline I'd flown before, so this was definitely a new experience for me. Let me know what you think of the experience and Saudi Arabian Airlines in the comments section below, but until then, I'll see you next time.